Naruto, Rise of the Darkest Shinobi Force, Episode 81. Kiri Shinobu Village takes the Konoha exam. Humph. The beauty you think. Terumi said through gritted teeth. Then there is no way, don't you say it yet? Naruto tentatively stretched out his hand and said. Terumi was so frightened that he quickly shouted, right here. In order to avoid Naruto insulting her again, Terumi gritted her teeth fiercely, bit her thumb, and slapped it on the ground. Psychic. Nice idea, actually hidden in the psychic. Naruto nodded in admiration. Terumi smiled bitterly and said, this is specially done to prevent someone from robbing it, but I didn't expect it to be sent out by my own hands. And I'm really incompetent this water shadow. Naruto said lightly while taking the scroll. No, it's very competent. If I don't find the sealed book of your Mist Ninja Village today, I am ready to raise the Mist Ninja Village to the ground. Terumi listened with trepidation, and there was a trace of panic in her eyes. He actually said that he wanted to raise a ninja village to the ground, this guy. He is so murderous. Naruto simply sat on top of the Congo blockade, flipping the scroll as he flipped it. In the process of practicing the Madara, Naruto said with some disdain, there is actually only one S-class water escape. Your Mist Ninja Village is really weak and amazing. As far as he knew, Sand Ninja Village was the weakest ninja village, but even so, there were several S-level ninjutsu, and here in Mist Ninja Village, there was actually only one S-class ninjutsu. Terumi snorted and gritted her teeth. It's not the bastard you fought before. Let us Mist Ninja Village lose a lot of ninjutsu. Oh. The corner of Naruto's mouth hooked, and he said lightly, weakness is the original sin. There is no reason. If he wants to destroy your Mist Ninja Village, your Mist Ninja Village was destroyed 10 years ago. Terumi was angry in her heart, but she couldn't find a reason to refute it, and snorted depressedly. Okay, I already understand the water-done ninjutsu. I will take the scroll first, and look forward to the next meeting. Naruto showed a hint of a smile, and said lightly, I actually said I wanted to take it away. Terumi clenched her fists unwillingly, but she also knew that with her strength and the power of the Mist Shinobi Village, she would be completely unable to stop Naruto. Thinking that Naruto's personality was quite stable, Terumi forced her teeth and said, the Book of Mist Ninja can be given to you, but as a price, can you let the Ghost Lantern Mizuki, as well as that young man from the Kaguya family and the Mizuki family, leave an heir in Mist Ninja Village? The combat effectiveness of a village is determined by the ninja, and the combat power of the ninja is very large, and part of it depends on the bloodstain ability. After becoming a 5th-generation water shadow, Terumi has always wanted to restore the prosperity of the Mist Ninja Village decades ago, so even if he is in danger, he wants these 3 bloodstained boundary families to return to the Mist Ninja Village. Naruto raised his eyebrows and said playfully, you can ask them about this later, but I also have the bloodline of the Uzumaki family. Do you want to leave an heir for me? Terumi's eyes widened and said, I'm a 5th-generation water shadow. Naruto said lightly, so what? Not at my disposal yet? The ninja world is based on strength. As long as it has strength, even if he is the head of a country, what can the head of a village do? Terumi's face turned red, looking at the golden chains around Naruto's body, and after hesitating for a long time, he whispered, it's not impossible. The bloodline of the Uzumaki family is too strong, so that she, the 5th-generation water shadow, has no power to resist, and if she joins the Mist Ninja Village, the strength of the Mist Ninja Village will increase greatly in a few decades. Moreover, Naruto's appearance is also very handsome, which is in line with Terumi's aesthetic concept. Naruto laughed and said, then stay for next time, silly woman, I still have something to do now. During the time he came out, Konoha's Chunin exam was about to begin, and if he missed this scene, Naruto himself would not forgive himself. With a wave of his hand, Naruto draped the white robe he was wearing over Terumi's body, lifting the golden cage formed by the Congo blockade. Naruto looked at the cold ice, water currents, bone spurs, and the spread of all kinds of power on the ground outside, as well as the fearful ninja of the Mist Ninja Village, and said with a smile, guys, let's go. Shisui glanced at Terumi, who was wearing Naruto's robe, quickly took his gaze back, and said respectfully, Lord, it's very slow not to cut off their footsteps. How about you go back and your subordinates walk with them? In Shisui's opinion, even if they returned to Konoha with Naruto, they would not be able to enter Konoha, but it was better to lead them by themselves and ambush outside Konoha Village. The corner of Naruto's mouth hooked and said, no need, you guys go back with me this time. The Naka Ninja exam is imminent, and the 3 generations of Hokage will be killed by him, and when the time comes, the dragons will be leaderless, who will care about Uchiha to stop them. Although Uchiha was puzzled in his heart, he still answered respectfully. Seeing that Naruto was about to leave, Terumi finally couldn't help it, grabbed Naruto's arm with one hand, looked at the 3 of Mizuki Hakujunmura with a sincere face, and said, do you want to stay in Mist Ninja Village? I promise, it will never happen again like before. You stay here and get the absolute highest treatment. Shueisha pouted, held the back of his head with both hands, and said lazily, forget it, instead of being bound here, I might as well follow the adult side. Bai nodded, followed the side and said, I am a tool for not beheading adults, and I will go wherever adults go. Kaguya and Mario didn't even say a word, and respectfully followed Naruto. Seeing this scene, Zhao Meiyu was extremely anxious in her heart, and she gritted her teeth and said, "Your adults have agreed to marry me, and let you leave children here. Please stay." The pupils of the two of them shrank sharply and looked at Naruto in disbelief. The corner of Shueiyua's mouth twitched a little and stretched out her hand, and said weakly, "Adult, such a simple seduction, are you fooled?" Naruto smiled and flicked on Terumi's forehead. "Don't fake tiger power, I didn't say such a thing." Terumi's face turned red, and then she left the spot in an instant. Watching Terumi leave, Naruto was not surprised, smiled, and said, "Gone." Yikes. Naruto instantly turned into a golden flash, and Uchiha Shisui followed, and without cutting a few people followed, quickly leaving the mist shinobi village. Let Miyu stand on a tree in the distance, look at Naruto's back, clench her palms, grit her teeth and say, "Don't be proud, I can't let you escape." Episode 82. Return to Konoha, destroy Konoha. Mizuki lazily hugged her hand behind her head and said, "It's really boring, Naruto-sama. After arriving in Konoha, can I wander around Konoha?" Xiangfo snorted and said, "Idiot Mizuki, that's Konoha. Do you want to be used as research material?" Uchiha stopped the water behind Naruto and reminded, "You two are the same, don't run around after you get to Konoha. Don't cause trouble for Naruto-sama." Approaching the Zonin exam, I heard that the ninjas of Yunin village, including the 4th generation of Thunder Shadow, will also come to participate, and the village is absolutely heavily guarded, and if you run around, you may be discovered. Shigeko nodded and said respectfully, "Lord Shisui, I know." Uchiha nodded gratifyingly. Among these people, it was only in vain that he could save some thoughts. Mizuki covered her face in pain and said, "It's hard to come to Konoha. I can't walk around yet, it's too boring." Kakato sighed when she heard it. Although she listened to Naruto's words, she also wanted to go shopping. Naruto chuckled and said, "Play if you want, it's okay." Mizuki's face was overjoyed, and he waved his fist and shouted, "Long live Naruto-sama, Naruto-sama Shigeo." Kakato asked with a look of surprise, "Naruto, can we really go play?" Even Shigeko Mari couldn't help but look sideways, and strolling around Konoha, they didn't dare to think about it. Uchiha Shisui's face turned anxious, and he quickly persuaded, "Lord Naruto, how strict the guards of Konoha village are, you know, there are a few more people out of thin air, the dark part and the root will definitely be noticed, and it may affect your plan when the time comes." Naruto smiled, his left hand slid slightly on Kami's face, and Kakashi's cheek suddenly changed to another beauty. Naruto smiled and said, "Don't be so nervous, with my ability plus your illusion, no one can detect it, even if someone notices." Naruto flashed a trace of coldness and said, "Just kill him." He didn't have a good impression of Konoha's ninja itself, except for a few people who could be called friends, and Naruto didn't mind killing the others. Suigetsu waved his hand in surprise and said, "It's great, I knew that I was right with Naruto-sama." Kakashi clenched his fists with joy and said, "Then let's hurry up and go to Konoha." Soon, Naruto and his party came to the door of Konoha, and after registering the Oto Shinobi village, they entered Konoha unimpeded. Kakato looked around in amazement and said, "Is this where Naruto-sama is big? It's so beautiful." Shueiyua said excitedly, "I'm going to the casting shop here to take a look. What is worth buying?" Without glancing around, he said, "Then Shiro and I will go to the nearby forest to take a look. If there is a fight, the escape route is a must." Junmaru nodded and said, "I'm with Shigeko." Naruto's purpose, they all know, if there is a fight, it is best to prepare a few more escape routes. Naruto smiled, looked at Uchiha, and said, "Then it's up to you to take them first, I'll leave for a while first." Uchiha nodded respectfully and followed Konoha's ninja to where they lived. Naruto smiled lightly and looked at a hospital in the distance. After flashing at the bottom, Naruto came to the hospital, looked at himself lying on the hospital bed and smiled, "Good work." Naruto on the hospital bed pouted, opened his eyes, and said, "Nonsense, you lie down for half a month to try." As soon as the words fell, Naruto on the hospital bed turned into a white smoke and fused into Naruto's body. After Naruto absorbed the memory, he raised his eyebrows playfully and said to himself, "I checked my body more than 100 times in half a month. It's really thanks to them for having this perseverance." Hearing the sound in the room, several ninjas with animal masks quickly rushed in, looking at Naruto on the ground warily. The leader Shien said coldly, "Naruto Uzumaki, control your chakra and come with me." Naruto smiled softly, stepped forward without caring, and said, "You are Yuyen, it's so cold, it's so sad." Yuyen blushed, wondering how Naruto found her. Shien's voice softened unconsciously, "Come with me, Naruto-sama is waiting for you." Naruto nodded and followed Yuyen towards the Hokage building. It wasn't until after Naruto left that the ninjas in the ward and the dark parts breathed a sigh of relief and wiped the cold sweat from their heads. A member of the dark division said with a palpitation, "Naruto Uzumaki's body is so terrifying, just like facing Naruto-sama." Another member of the dark department nodded and said, "That's right. it's simply facing the nine-tailed demon fox. It's really terrifying enough. A ninja who had come into contact with the nine tails frowned a little suspiciously. No, that aura just now seems to be darker than the nine tails. A ninja laughed and said, that must be your delusion. How can Naruto Uzumaki be more terrifying than the nine tails? The ninja who had come into contact with the nine tails could only nod, but his heart was still muttering. It was obviously just now, making people have a sense of seeing the devil. After Yuyan led Naruto to the Hokage's office, he stood respectfully to the side. The corners of Naruto's mouth hooked, and he smiled. Stinky old man, what did you call me for? Sarutobi didn't care about Naruto's rudeness, knocked his pipe and said in a deep voice, Naruto, where did that strange power of yours come from? Why has it never appeared in the village? Naruto spread his hands innocently and said, I don't know. It appeared in my head out of thin air. Ape Feiри's face turned black. Isn't this death without proof? Ape Feiри frowned and asked again, then write me out all of your abilities, don't leave one behind. Naruto readily agreed, but he kept sneering in his heart. Although the ghost path is operated through chakra, there is no one else who can use it except himself. Sarutobi nodded in satisfaction. It seemed that Naruto was still the same Naruto he knew, and immediately called Kakashi and said, this is your teacher, Kiki Kakashi, you will study with Kakashi in the future, and you must control the chakra in your body. Episode 83, Shocked Kakashi. Naruto turned to look at Kakashi and said playfully, Kakashi, sensei. Kakashi frowned, Naruto's tone making him uncomfortable, as if someone high above looked down and said it in a commanding tone. Kakashi held back the discomfort in his heart and said, Naruto Uzumaki, you have been in a coma for more than half a month. The course is far behind Sakura and Sasuke at the same time, and the two of them have already decided to take the Chunin exam. I will try my best to train you next. Do you have any opinions? An inexplicable smile appeared on Naruto's face. Of course not. Okay then, come with me first. Kakashi led the way out of Hokage's office, and Naruto smiled and followed behind Kakashi. After Naruto left, the three generations of Hokage looked at Yuyan with a frown. How? Is there anything unusual about Naruto Uzumaki? Shien recalled Naruto's words all the way and shook his head. No. The third generation of Hokage nodded, pondered for a moment and said, you continue to monitor Naruto to see who he has dealings with, and if something is different, report it to me immediately. Yuyan nodded and followed Naruto. After Yuyan left, Tuanzo, who was covered in bandages, walked out with a gloomy face and said, do you really believe Naruto Uzumaki's ghost words? How can ninjutsu of that level be bloodstained? Ape Feiри took a puff of his cigarette and asked, then what are you going to do? When the 5 ninja villages gathered, did the 9-tailed pillar force be replaced? Who can bear the risk? The tragedy of the invasion of the 9 tails more than 10 years ago, Sarutobi didn't want him to happen again. Damn it, Danzo secretly scolded, that person who doesn't know who it is, saved the damned Uchiha and stopped the water, and also took the name of Konoha to attack other ninja villages. If it weren't for him, how could this Naka Shinobi exam be so troublesome? Sarutobi frowned, spit out a puff of smoke, and said, I don't know, but what is certain is that the other party is definitely not a good stubble, and it is extremely vicious to Konoha. As he spoke, Ape Flying Sun also thought in his heart, the bloodline of the Uzumaki family, the Uchiha Water Stop, and the people of the Great Snake Pill, all this together can only make the ape fly to the sun and think of a person, his own disciple, Lungjun Great Snake Pill. Ape Feiri rubbed his temples with a headache, and said in a deep voice, Tuanzong, now is not the time to think about small things, let your roots move. Danzo nodded and said, I still know this kind of thing, the 5 shadows gathered together, if you don't get it right, it will destroy Konoha. After speaking, Danzo looked at Sarutobi Hinata with cold gaze and said, now the situation is serious, I won't worry about Naruto Uzumaki with you first, but the Naruto exam is over, and the 9 tails pillar force must be replaced. The strength that Naruto Uzumaki possessed killed him all once. Although I don't know where Naruto's strength came from, Danzo didn't plan to delay, and after the Naka Shinobi exam was over, let him die. Sarutobi knocked on the pipe in his hand and did not object. After Naruto followed Kakashi to the training ground, he saw Sakura and Sasuke at a glance. When Sakura saw Naruto, her eyes lit up, and she raised her hand and shouted, Naruto, here and here. Naruto smiled and waved his hand and walked over. Sakura chirped like a sparrow and asked, Naruto, I heard that you had an entanglement with someone from the Dark Division, are you better now? Naruto raised his eyebrows, was it actually rumored outside that he was fighting with the people of the Dark Ministry? He smiled and said, I'm already much better, don't worry. Sasuke snorted on the side and said, Naruto, I have become very strong during your absence, don't hold back. Naruto smiled noncommittally. Sasuke's strength has become stronger, at best. Kakashi handed Chidori over to him. But if you want to catch up with him, you must at least have a reincarnation eye. Sasuke's angry eyes were on fire, and this was the look, and it was and is now. Kakashi saw the angry Sasuke and the indifferent Naruto, and after pondering for a while, he came over and laughed. In that case, how about you guys have a fight over this? Sasuke's eyes lit up, and he couldn't wait to agree, turning his head to look at Naruto defiantly. He was the strongest, and now he has to prove it. Naruto smiled and casually threw his clothes to Sakura, shirtless with a sense of power, twisted his neck, and beckoned to Sasuke. Come on. Kakashi frowned, flashed to the tree on the side, and secretly said, so big, are you confident in your own strength? Sasuke snorted and quickly rushed towards Naruto, the fist in his hand 3 times faster than before. Naruto looked dumbfounded. The body was like a flash of light under the blessing of the golden hair, and instantly rushed to Sasuke, holding Sasuke's face with his left hand, and smashed down fiercely. Boom! Sasuke was smashed to the ground with a boom, and it seemed that even the ground trembled a little. So fast. Kakashi's eyes widened suddenly, and he shouted out in a lost voice. Kakashi's eyes were full of shock. This speed is not weaker than me at all, and it is still a pure physique. It is simply a humanoid monster. Kakashi couldn't help but recall Mat Kai's physical skills, and muttered, if only Naruto Uzumaki learned Kai's 8-door Doujia. Thinking about that scene, Kakashi gasped. The most important thing in the 8 gates Doujia is the physique. With Naruto's current physique, I am afraid that he can open to the 6th door without injury, and by then, I am afraid that Metke will not be an opponent. Sakura looked at Sasuke, who was pressed to the ground in shock, and after a long time, she eased up and ran up anxiously. After Naruto saw it, the corners of his mouth hooked, flashed a few steps and hugged Sakura, placing her under a tree in the distance. The battle is not over yet, honestly stay here. Sakura's eyes widened, and she pointed at Sasuke and said, but Sasuke has already been beaten like that. Naruto smiled, looked at Sasuke, and said, that's not the end of it, is it? Sasuke struggled hard, holding a ball of thunder and lightning in his hand, and shouted, of course it's not over. Chidori, Sasuke roared, holding the thunder and lightning in his hand, and quickly stabbed towards Naruto. Naruto chuckled, and his left hand easily gripped Sasuke's palm, holding Raiden. The thunder was only an inch from Naruto's chest, but it was this inch, no matter how much power Sasuke exerted, he could not step forward. Naruto smiled, grabbed Sasuke's palm and flicked it back. It's still far from it. After Naruto threw Sasuke away, he looked at Kakashi, smashed his fists, and laughed. Kakashi-sensei, let's fight. Episode 84. Naruto with a physique like a monster. Kakashi suppressed the shock in his heart, took back the intimate heaven book he was holding in his hand, frowned and said, I'm your teacher. What if I can't hold back my hands and feet when I fight you and hurt you? Naruto smiled and said without care, Kakashi-sensei doesn't care. If I die, it's because I'm not good at learning. Kakashi's pupils shrank. From Naruto's words, he heard a strong smell of gunpowder, definitely not ordinary people who wanted to fight. Kakashi frowned and asked suspiciously, Naruto, have I ever had any intersection with you? Why do you want to fight me so much? Naruto smiled lightly and said, How can I have any intersection with Kakashi-sensei? You are a busy person. As soon as these words came out, Kakashi was even more puzzled in his heart. Although he had seen Naruto many times before, it was the first time he had spoken seriously, and he didn't understand why Naruto was full of bad feelings towards him. In the distance, Metke, Sunset Red, Asuma, and others heard the sound and quickly came. Mat Kai glanced at the ashen-faced Sasuke, glanced at Naruto, and laughed. Youth, this is youth, Lee, see it, you also have to constantly fight with others to become stronger. Lee Luo showed his big white teeth and said excitedly to Ning Ci, Teacher Kai is right, Ning Ci, let's fight. Ning Ji didn't look at him, staring at Naruto with a complicated expression. He had also heard about Naruto's deeds before. Muttered, if you want to break through the birdcage, didn't you also hit a bloody head? Hinata, who rushed to listen to the voice, saw Naruto's face suddenly red, and then ran over and said, Naruto-kun, are you awake and feeling better? I made mushroom fresh broth tonight, would you like to eat some? Or do you want to eat something that is good for your body? Looking at Hinata, who couldn't even speak clearly with an eager face, Naruto smiled and touched Hinata's head and said, Thank you for always taking care of me during this time. Hinata's head came out of a puff of white smoke. His face was red like a big apple, his hands were clasped in front of his chest. He ran around the playground, and then rushed to Naruto, blushing and saying, No, it's okay. Asuma stepped forward and snorted coldly, and said, Naruto Uzumaki, you provoked Kakashi just now. Don't you want to be your subordinate? Naruto chuckled and looked at the taste of the Sunset Red play that was watching here. Asuma Kami Shinobu, are you here to sow discord, or are you specifically bullying me this shinobi? Asuma's face turned cold, and he scolded, I am Shainin, you must bring honorifics when you talk to me. Shirihong couldn't stand it, and stepped forward and said coldly, Asuma, don't send fire at children, you have the ability to rush at me. Asuma gritted her teeth in anger and looked at the playful Naruto with a cannibalistic gaze. It was this kid who ruined his reputation. The future Hokage position is gone, and the 3 clans of Pig Deer Butterfly are not allowed to let him set foot. Even Shirihong, who just had some good feelings, drew a line with him, saying that it was a revenge for taking his wife and killing his father. Asuma glanced at Naruto coldly, turned his head to look at Kakashi, and said, "Kakashi, since this kid is teasing you, you should teach him a good lesson." Kakashi reluctantly jumped down from the tree and said, "Then fight it, I'll be careful not to hurt you." A look of indignation appeared on Sunset Red's face, and he looked at Kakashi and said angrily, "Kakashi, even you help Asuma bully children?" Kakashi became even more helpless after hearing this, and said with a wry smile, "It was Naruto who took the initiative to invite me to fight him. Naruto is my student after all, I won't hurt him." Sunset Red believed and angrily blocked Kakashi's face. How can there be a chance of victory for a teenager to fight Kakashi, an experienced kami shinobi? Sunset Red was also completely unwilling to let Naruto be persecuted because of his own reasons, and no matter what Kakashi said, Sunset Red was resolutely not agreed. Shikamaru came over and said helplessly, "Naruto, you really don't stop. You just got out of the hospital today and you have to fight with Shinobu." He nodded and said with a smile, "Forget it, celebrate your discharge, let's go eat barbecue." Ino, Hinata, Dingy, Shino, and others were also persuading, and there was a tacit understanding in front of Kakashi. Seeing this, Naruto could only smile and said through their crowd, "Don't worry, you still don't understand my strength, and you won't be hurt." Shikamaru rubbed his temples and said helplessly, "That you don't know who you're up against. Kakashi is an elite shinobu who has performed 42 S-class missions. How can you have a chance of winning a battle with him?" Naruto looked at Kakashi and smiled, "So powerful, come on." Kakashi nodded slightly, and the figure quickly passed through the Sunset Red and rushed towards Naruto. Seeing this, several Shaoqian could only retreat helplessly. Sunset Red shouted angrily, "Kakashi, you dare." Sunset Red wanted to help Naruto, but Asuma kept blocking him, so angry that Sunset Red almost had a fight with Asuma. Shuriken doppelganger. After being 10 meters in front of Naruto, Kakashi suddenly stopped and threw several shurikens from his hand. Shurikens increased wildly in the sky, forming an overwhelming rain of shurikens, almost hundreds, smashing towards Naruto. Matkai's pupils shrank and said in shock, "Kakashi actually used 8th-grade ninjutsu to deal with a shinobi. Is that kid so difficult to deal with?" Ninji looked at Naruto intently and said, "Of course, have you seen any madman go straight to the Hyuga family?" Asuma looked at Naruto with cold eyes. He knew Naruto's strength, but he expected that a teenager, no matter how strong he was, could not be Kakashi's opponent. Hinata clenched his palms worriedly on the side. "Naruto-kun, don't get hurt." Many of the Shaoqian present looked at Naruto with a worried expression. Fighting Kakashi with kami shinobi, but also the elite kami shinobi, this kind of thing, they dare not think about it. Naruto looked at the overwhelming shuriken with a look of disdain in his eyes. With a boom, Naruto's palm smashed into a towering tree near the training ground. With a scalp-numbing sound, the towering tree was uprooted, and Naruto swung the tree with one hand, directly knocking the shuriken flying away. Matkai's eyes almost popped out, and he shouted in disbelief, "I actually pulled out a big tree with one hand, and I can also control it and swing it freely. Is this kid's physique a monster?" Episode 85, The 75 Pillars of the Way of Bondage. Matkai's tone was full of shock. Li Luo asked with a puzzled look in his eyes, "Teacher Kai, if I pull out a big tree, I can also do it." As for being so shocked, Matkai shook his head and said in a tone full of shock, "It's different, you pull out a big tree, through the chakra in the body to increase strength, but Uzumaki Naruto is completely through the body." After hearing this, Li Locke's eyes also showed a shock, and he looked at Naruto's back full of shock. It doesn't take chakra to uproot a towering tree, this power. No wonder the teacher said it was a monster. Kakashi solemnly took 2 steps backwards and said, "This is really not an ordinary strength. Even if he doesn't use ninjutsu, with this power alone, if he smashes a punch into his chest, I'm afraid he will be seriously injured if he doesn't die." Kakashi quickly froze, slapped a palm on the ground, and shouted, "Tudu and Tushur dragon." Kakashi's ground jerked and an earthy dragon soared into the air, rushing towards Naruto with its teeth and claws. As soon as Naruto stretched out his hand, a stream of hot flames erupted from his hand, like a long line of fire, cutting off the earth dragon. Broken road, waste yen. The corners of Naruto's mouth hooked, and his body ran forward quickly, forcing Kakashi to pull the blindfold down, revealing a kaleidoscope Sharingan. Tudu and heart decapitation technique. Kakashi's figure disappeared, and then a pair of hands grabbed Naruto's feet fiercely, trying to pull Naruto into the ground. Naruto seemed to smile. Kakashi really liked to use this trick, last time in the Land of Waves, this time in Konoha. Naruto looked down, looked at his sinking body that was constantly being pulled by Kakashi, raised his finger and said, "Broken path, white thunder." Boom. As if thunder struck the ground, Kakashi let out a muffled sound and quickly came out of the earth, clutching his shoulders in shock. Kakashi looked at the pierced wound on his shoulder and said solemnly with pain, "I really can't underestimate you, Naruto Uzumaki." When fighting with the Root and Dark Division, Naruto Uzumaki used most of the sealing techniques, but when fighting him, the move was fatal. Kakashi's gaze was solemn, and he stared at Naruto with a kaleidoscope and said, "I won't show mercy to my subordinates now." The art of the Great Waterfall. Kakashi quickly froze, and a violent stream of water rose from the river and smashed towards Naruto. "It's useless." A hint of mockery appeared at the corner of Naruto's mouth, and while running, he stretched out his palm and said, "Bind the road and escape the red smoke." Boom! A huge smoke instantly enveloped the training ground, and the people of Matkai had to take a few steps back and look at the training ground in shock. Matkai said in shock, "Although it is only a few encounters, but am I wrong?" Naruto Uzumaki was actually pressing Kakashi to fight. Ninji shook his head solemnly and said, "It's Naruto Uzumaki's pressure that is too strong, not weaker than Kakashi at all." As Matkai and Ninji spoke, a stream of water gushed out of the smoke, followed by a muffled snort. Kakashi's figure shot out of the smoke and slammed into the tree, a trace of blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. Broken Dao, Skyfire Pendant. Naruto's indifferent voice came from the smoke, and a blue flame fell from the sky like a meteorite. Matkai gasped when he saw it, quickly grabbed Tion, and dodged backwards. Kakashi turned around and quickly fled from the tree. In the next second, a huge explosion sounded overwhelmingly throughout half of Konoha. Kakashi dodged the falling blue flames in the sky, breathed a sigh of relief, wiped the cold sweat on his head, and looked back. This look didn't matter, and suddenly he was scared into a cold sweat. I saw that the position he was in before was the center, and the surrounding orientation of tens of meters completely turned into a falling crater. If this is a person in it, I am afraid that it will not be smashed into meat sauce. It's not good. Naruto Uzumaki's chakra is too strong, and there is no way to consume combat at all. A cold sweat left on Kakashiri's head, and his heart began to think frantically in thought. Naruto walked out of the smoke, looked at Kakashi lightly and raised his palm and said, "Kakashi-sensei, it's really embarrassing. Can this look also be regarded as forbearance?" Kakashi cursed secretly in his heart. "Who can compare to you, monster?" As a member of the Uzumaki clan, chakra is dozens of times more than him, not to mention, in addition to chakra, ninjutsu and physique are also a monster. If he wants to fight closely, he must first be prepared to risk being killed by one punch. Kakashi wiped the cold sweat from his head, gritted his teeth, and said, "No way, Chidori." Kakashi held his left hand above his right hand, and a piercing and dazzling thunder appeared in his hand, like the noise of birds chirping in unison. "Chidori." Kakashi let out a low roar, and with the blessing of lightning, his body instantly rushed towards Naruto. So fast. Sunset Red shouted out in a lost voice. Matkai said solemnly, "In the face of Uzumaki Naruto, Kakashi actually used this move. Is it really too strong Uzumaki Naruto's strength? Break the road, break the void." Naruto waved his finger, and a transparent defense appeared in front of Kakashi, and Chidori touched it, completely blocked, and not even a crack appeared. Kakashi was horrified in his heart, took 2 steps backwards and pointed to the defense, and said in shock, "This ninjutsu. What do you have to do with that purple-haired teenager?" The power of the void was still there, and Kakashi was extremely familiar in his heart, which was clearly the ability of the boy who had fought with him in the Land of Waves. Naruto smiled lightly and said, "Kakashi-sensei, what are you talking about? How do I not understand?" As he spoke, Naruto's palm shot out a series of hot and huge fireballs. Red artillery, red artillery, red artillery. Kakashi was bitter in his heart and wanted to escape, but Naruto didn't give him that chance at all. In the face of the flames that kept attacking, he could only run quickly to avoid Naruto's attacks. Naruto looked at the embarrassed Kakashi, a smile curled at the corner of his mouth, pointed his finger at the running Kakashi figure, and chanted, "Black and white web. 22 bridges, 66 crown belts, footprints, distant thunder, spikes, back to the earth, night ambush, sea of clouds, blue sequence, full of 2 round, straight to the sky. 77 Heaven Tinkong Luo, 75 Pillars of Iron Run." Episode 86. One move seriously injured Asuma. Matkai looked at the sky suspiciously, and a violent wind sound came from the sky. Sunset hung and everyone raised their heads, and their pupils suddenly shrank. "So, what is that?" Sunset Hong shouted as she watched the 5 stone pillars falling rapidly from the sky in shock. Asuma said solemnly, "It's Tuduan, only Tuduan can cause this kind of impact." Metke said solemnly, "I have never seen this kind of deterrent power." Kakashi glanced at the sky and didn't care. Although the deterrent was cautious, the strike area of several stone pillars was too small, and with his speed, he could easily dodge it. Kakashi ran and asked with a solemn look at Naruto, "Naruto Uzumaki, where did you learn your abilities? Is it someone from outside the village?" Naruto stood in place indifferently, smiled, pointed to the 5 stone pillars in the sky, and said, "Kakashi-sensei, if you have this time to ask me, why don't you think about how not to die?" Kakashi showed doubt in his eyes, looked at the sky, and suddenly gasped in fear. "How is it possible, all the time pressing down on me?" Kakashi said with shock in his eyes. The 5 stone pillars in the sky, wherever he ran, were directly smashing down at him. Naruto looked at the dumbfounded Kakashi and smiled. "Kakashi-sensei, you can't run anymore." Kakashi frowned, and when he tried to run again, his eyes widened in disbelief, and he found that his body could not move. Kakashi struggled his body, but was horrified to find that his legs, no, most of his body could not move, as if suppressed by something. "Damn, what kind of ability is this? Is it sealing? When was it launched?" Kakashi struggled and shouted in disbelief. The corners of Naruto's mouth hooked a hint of arc. The binding path itself was a sealing technique against the soul, and from the beginning of his casting, the ability of the binding path to suppress the soul had already begun. After struggling a few times, Kakashi finally gave up, looking at the 5 stone pillars in the sky with an ugly face, and his hands quickly froze. Kakashi shouted and clapped his hands on the ground. Tudu and Tulyu wall. Stone walls with dogs' heads on all sides rumbled up from the ground, protecting Kakashi inside. And at this time, Matkai and Sunset Hong and others also found that something was wrong, and quickly stepped forward to make a mark on the ground and said, "The earth is cracking." Tudu and Tushar Dragon. For a while, the ground of the training ground surged and rumbled over Kakashi, forming a huge stone building that looked like a fortress. Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief in his heart and muttered, 5 stone pillars will definitely not be able to break this defense. Yes? Naruto smiled noncommittally. The 5 stone pillars in the sky, like 5 sharp arrows, instantly penetrated the stone building in the dull eyes of everyone. Boom! In an instant, the dust flew up, the ground continued to shake, and Sunset Hong and the others were shocked and fell to the ground, and they were frightened. Shirihong covered his mouth, and his eyes were full of shock and said, "That young man, his strength is too amazing." Matkai nodded, and hugged Lee Locke with tears in his eyes. "Lee, did you see it? This is youth, Teacher Kai, I will work hard." Lee Locke shouted with tears in his eyes. Shikamaru covered his face helplessly on the side. "Naruto's strength is very strong, what are you excited about?" After the shaking was over, everyone rushed in and rummaged through a pile of broken stones to find Kakashi. When they saw Kakashi's state, everyone was dumbfounded and looked at each other. Kakashi's head, hands, and feet were all suppressed by a huge stone pillar, but Kakashi was unharmed, and even they could hear the violent breathing sound. Matkai was stunned for a long time, quickly gouged out Kakashi's face, and asked nervously, "Kakashi, are you alright?" Kakashi hesitated and shook his head. "I can't feel pain, I can feel my limbs, but I can't move." Asuma breathed a sigh of relief in her heart, and then looked at Naruto with icy eyes. "Naruto Uzumaki, don't you hurry up and disarm this ninjutsu? I'll find you to settle the score later." Naruto smiled and said, "Are you going to eat the pull-out?" Poof. Sunset Hong didn't hold back her laughter, and then looked at everyone's gaze and quickly covered my mouth, but there was still a smile on her face. Asuma's face darkened, and he stepped forward angrily, about to slap Naruto with a slap. Snap. Sunset Hong directly slapped Asuma and said angrily, "Can you still go back to the earth ninjutsu you cast? Spread your anger on others, I'm not done with you." Asuma looked at the sunset red chi and said angrily, "As a superior shinobi, I can't teach people a lesson?" Without waiting for Sunset Red to speak, Naruto pointed his finger at Asuma's chest and said, "The guy who jumped off the wall. This shows that you are a useless man." Asuma's pupils shrank, and he wanted to take a few steps back, but it was too late. Naruto said softly, "Broken path, number 4 white thunder." A bright white thunder pierced through Asuma's chest, instantly opening a hole in Asuma's chest. Asuma spat out a mouthful of blood, trembling and raising her finger to say something to Naruto, but did not say it, plopping down on the ground. Asuma, Matkai's pupils shrank, and he suddenly became alert and looked at Naruto. Naruto waved his palm indifferently and said, "Don't worry, it's not dead." Matkai tentatively put his finger under Asuma's nose, and suddenly breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, and did not have time to hesitate, and quickly sent Asuma to the hospital. Seeing this, Naruto smiled and said to Hinata and the others, "Then I will leave for a while and see you later." As he spoke, Naruto's figure flickered and appeared in a forest in the distance. In the middle of the forest, Uchiha Shisui is confronting a large snake pill that looks like a woman. Seeing Naruto coming over, Uchiha said respectfully, "Naruto-sama, Orochimaru must see you once. That's why his subordinates informed you." Naruto smiled and looked at Orochimaru. "Orochimaru, you actually dare to take the initiative to see me. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you here?" Episode 87. The Great Snake Pill, whose heart was about to stop in fear. Orochimaru smiled hoarsely, and said with an evil expression on his face, "I think Naruto-kun has such a strong strength to return to Konoha. There must be some plan. Compared to killing me, Naruto-kun doesn't want his plan to be broken, right?" Uchiha's gaze was cold, and the 2 kaleidoscopic chakra eyes stared at the big snake pill deadly. "Big snake pill, dare to be presumptuous in front of Naruto-sama. Be careful that I kill you." Orochimaru smiled hoarsely and stopped talking. In front of Uchiha Shisui, he didn't even have room to fight back. "The strongest illusion, don't be a god," Orochimaru murmured in his heart. Naruto also didn't care about the threat of the big snake pill, stepped forward and aimed his palm at the big snake pill and smiled. "Big snake pill, do you think I want to kill you? Do you need to cause a lot of movement?" Orochimaru smiled, and although he didn't speak, his expression said it all. Naruto smiled and chanted in his mouth, "Fangs without fire, falling fire burning in the sky, celestial phenomena, King's Landing, rivers of burning earth, falling sky stars, all the world can burn in this fire." 96 of the broken paths. The big snake pill felt cold all over his body, and a threat to his life came from a warning in his mind. His face changed greatly, and he stepped forward to stop him. I know you can kill me without harm, stop quickly, I must have what you want here, right? Naruto smiled with satisfaction, put his palm down, and said, the price of healing, the art of rebirth of dirt, the sealing technique, and all kinds of escape techniques. The big snake pill was relieved. Just now, he really had an instant sense of imminent death. In fact, what Naruto was about to release just now was the strongest Tao breaker he had mastered, the 96 broken Tao one sword cremation. Even if this broken path fused into Naruto's body and became a little weaker, it was enough to destroy the entire Konoha in one move. However, Naruto never wanted to use this move, because this move was too terrifying, and it was called Sacrificial Breaking Path in the Broken Path, and a forbidden technique that could only be launched by using burnt flesh as a catalyst. Naruto didn't want to see if the Ein seal could restore his charred flesh. Orochimaru took a few breaths, wiped the cold sweat from his head and asked, I can give you whatever you want, but what do these do, and what do you want to do in Konoha? You're going to tell me. When Orochimaru first arrived in Konoha, he heard that a team had already appeared in Konoha in Otanabu village, and immediately concluded that Naruto must have some plans. But he wasn't sure, so he wanted to know if Naruto's plan would affect his plan. Naruto smiled and said, my purpose is not much different from yours, except for some minor differences. Orochimaru's pupils shrank and he asked in shock, you want to destroy Konoha? Naruto smiled and nodded, but his indifferent expression made Orochimaru's heart chill. To say so calmly that he wants to destroy Konoha, cold-blooded, is simply a cold-blooded demon. The big snake pill, said in shock. Naruto looked at the shock that flashed in the eyes of the big snake pill, and said with a smile, big snake pill, regarding your treatment, I will divide it into 3 stages and completely heal it after the end of Konoha's collapse plan. But before that, you have to give me everything I want. Orochimaru reacted, smiled hoarsely, and said, Naruto-kun, this is not a deal. Naruto smiled and stretched out his finger against Orochimaru's head and said, Orochimaru, don't get me wrong, I never said it was a deal. If you don't agree, don't mind turning this into a plunder. Orochimaru's face turned gloomy, thinking of the death he was on the verge of just now, and after pondering for a moment, he spit out a few wet scrolls from his mouth. The big snake pill held the scroll hoarsely and said, the sealing technique, escape technique, and dirt rebirth you want are all here. I hope you abide by the agreement. After Uchiha took the scroll and wiped it, he opened it and took a look, turned his head and said respectfully to Naruto, Naruto-sama, that's right, there is no problem. Naruto nodded and stared playfully at Orochimaru, his eyes shining. Orochimaru exuded a trace of cold air in his heart, and his eyelids jumped straight at Naruto. Should Naruto Uzumaki want to break the contract? Thinking of the current situation, his life was subject to Naruto. With Naruto's ninjutsu directly attacking the soul, Orochimaru couldn't help but feel a trace of remorse in his heart. He shouldn't have appeared in front of Naruto so blatantly. With the ninjutsu that Naruto hadn't performed before, all the preparations he had made to see Naruto were useless. Damn it. Orochimaru scolded secretly in his heart. When the big snake pill cold sweat flowed on his back, Naruto finally made a move, patted the big snake pill's shoulder and smiled. Don't be so nervous, Orochimaru. Do you still think I'm the kind of person who breaks the contract? The big snake pill's face turned dark, and he secretly said in his heart, aren't you? When Naruto fell into deep thought just now, his heart almost jumped to his throat. A pale green chakra appeared on Naruto's hand, and while treating the big snake pill, he smiled and said, don't worry, I didn't plan to kill you. Of course, if you take the initiative to join me, it is naturally the best, because then you can contact a new world. Orochimaru smiled hoarsely. He didn't even believe the punctuation marks in Naruto's words. He is already the strongest group of people in the ninja world. The new world, is it outside the ninja world? Naruto looked at Orochimaru's look of disbelief and didn't care, and smiled softly. It's still too early, and in the future, when Orochimaru sees Uchiha Mama, Senjukuma, or those people from the Atsuki family, Orochimaru will definitely take the initiative to come to him. After a few minutes, Naruto stopped the movement in his hand and said, this treatment is over. Come to me during the Naka Shinobi exam, I will give you a second treatment, and remind you not to do anything superfluous. Orochimaru was still immersed in the comfort of his soul being repaired, and after hearing Naruto's words, he broke out in a cold sweat. Superfluous things? Is it to let him go according to the previous plan? How did Naruto Uzumaki know? Could it be that there are spies? Looking at the sweat on Orochimaru's forehead, Naruto smiled and walked towards the village with Uchiha Shisui. The big snake pill remained in place, and only after a long time wiped the cold sweat on his head. Orochimaru said with some fear, what a terrible fellow. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is a demon that is more terrifying than me. And what he said about destroying Konoha is probably razing Konoha village to the ground, right? The thought of having 2 more contacts with Naruto made Orochimaru feel a desire to escape. Thinking of this, Orochimaru looked at the Hokage building in the distance in a complicated way, and said, Sarutobi-sensei, how exactly did you cultivate such a demon? Episode 88, Panic Jushin. At the entrance of the forest, several members of the Dark Department waited boredly, talking to each other. Have you heard? This time, the 4th generation of Lei came over to arrest a person. Nonsense, there are few in the whole world who don't know. How can I not know? A member of the Dark Division said disdainfully. A ninja said excitedly, I heard that the 4th generation of Thunder Shadow is about to be beaten and called dad. That's why I am so angry. I almost poured out. Another ninja waved his hand with disdain and said, where did you hear the grapevine? As far as I know, the 4th generation of Thunder Shadow has been beaten without any ability to fight back. If it weren't for that enemy's mercy, there would be no Cloud Ninja Village today. A few dark departments exclaimed, beating Laying without any ability to fight back. Then the enemy is too strong, right? Turning his head, the ninja continued to say enthusiastically, hey, do you know where you went after defeating the enemies of the 4th generation of Thunder Shadow? Several dark members shook their heads suspiciously. The dark ninja was even more proud, looked around and whispered, listen to my reconnaissance brother. That ninja went to the Mist Ninja Village, and I heard that he suppressed the 5th generation of Mizukage Terumi on the spot, and also handled Terumi at the gate of the village. Shoo, several members of the Dark Division gasped. Defeated the Mist Shinobi Village, and still took Terumi at the door? Is this really a human being, not a god? Shi Yan, who originally didn't care, pricked up her ears at this time and listened carefully. The member of the Dark Department said triumphantly, if I want to say, this adult of our Konoha is too strong, and with him, the 4 shadows are not our opponents. Shi Yan couldn't help it, and asked in a low voice, how do you know that it is our ninja from Konoha? When the member of the Dark Department saw Shi Yan, he suddenly came to his senses, and quickly said, Lord Shi Yan, you don't know something, that ninja's subordinate, but once Konoha's instantaneous body, Uchiha stopped the water. Originally I thought he was dead, but now it seems that he has turned from the bright side to the underground, and the ninjutsu used by that ninja is still the blood succession limit of the Uzumaki family, King Kong blockade. How can it not be our Konoha's people? The people around them were amazed, and they asked more excitedly, if you have the opportunity to eat the melons of such big people, even if they are in the dark part, they can't help but gossip. Shi Yan's face turned pale when she listened, and she muttered, Konoha's instantaneous body Uchiha stops the water. Others don't know, but how can Shi Yan, as an elite person in the dark department, not know? At the beginning, Uchiha stopped the water and died in vain, and even the burial was only a cursory matter, claiming that he died while fighting the enemy. But Uchiha stopped the water. That was the strongest ninja in the Uchiha family at that time. The Fog who had been killed alone did not dare to move. How could a ninja of this level die so casually? The only possibility is that Konoha made a move. With Uchiha's loyalty to the will of fire and faith, it is impossible to be guarded. Now hearing the news of Uchiha's resurrection, Shi Yan did not feel surprised at all, but looked terrified. King Kong blockade, Uchiha stop water, Yunin village, Mist Ninja village, snatch the seal scroll. Shi Yan muttered to herself, her expression becoming more and more frightened, and she imagined an almost impossible answer in her heart. Shi Yan said with some panic, impossible, impossible. He has been lying in the hospital all the time, how can he appear in such a place? But in Shi Yan's heart, he firmed up this idea. It was during the time when Naruto Uzumaki fainted that such a big fluctuation occurred in the ninja world, and Naruto also showed an extraordinary desire for ninjutsu when he snatched Konoha's sealed book. Yuyan took 2 steps back in horror and said in his mouth, I'll go to the Hokage office first, you guys continue to monitor here, don't get too close to Naruto. After saying this, Shi Yan was about to run away in horror. But before he took 2 steps, his body stiffened. She didn't hear her men. It's just the wind blowing through the trees, the crickets, and the footsteps in the jungle. Nah, stop the water. These guys are really excessive. I obviously didn't call the 4th generation of Laying dad, let alone bully Xiaomei. Naruto's disgruntled voice came from the jungle. Uchiha's voice of stopping the water also came out. Naruto-sama don't care, these guys are training and have nothing to do. Yuyan turned her head stiffly, and it was Naruto and Uchiha who stopped the water and walked out of the jungle one after the other. Naruto saw Yuyan smile and greeted, oh, Yuyan, you have been monitoring me for several years, you know me very well. He really didn't expect that Yuyan would connect him, the lower shinobi of Konoha village, with the strong man who defeated the 4th generation of Thunder Shadow and the 5th generation of Water Shadow. Uchiha glanced at Yuyan with cold eyes, took out a short knife, and then asked Naruto respectfully, Naruto-sama, if this woman is kept and may affect our plans, if your subordinates kill him, it will definitely not have an impact. Naruto smiled and waved his hand, using Uchiha's magic to stop the water, killing a person without showing a trace. There was no problem at all, but there was no need for this. Konoha village will change like a heaven and earth after the Chu Shinobi exam, and by then, it is no longer important to know that you do not know his identity. Yuyan looked at Naruto and Uchiha in horror, unbelievable that what she had just thought of had been certified so quickly. Although he proved that he was right, Shi Yan couldn't be happy at all, took out Kuwu and put it on his chest, swallowed a mouthful of spit, took 2 steps back, and said nervously, Naruto Uzumaki, what is your purpose? As soon as he said this, Yuyan felt stupid. What purpose could Naruto Uzumaki have besides revenge on Konoha? Shi Yan bit her lip, used pain to dispel the fear in her heart, threw 2 kunai fiercely, and quickly ran towards the distance. She has to report this amazing news to the 3rd generation of Hokage, otherwise, There will be a big crisis in Konoha village. However, Uchiha stopped the water faster than she did. Almost instantly, he ran to Shiyan's side, did not use his hands, but used chains, and directly bound Shiyan. Yuyan fell to the ground with a plop, looked at Naruto Uzumaki, who was walking towards him in horror, and shouted, "Come! Help me." Episode 89. Shao organized the coming people, weasels, ghost mackerels, flying segments, and horned capitals. Naruto raised his eyebrows and said with interest, "You shout, and break your throat. No one will come to save you." Uchiha Shisui glanced around and said, "No one can escape my eyes. If you are delusional that others will save you, or die that heart." Shiyan looked at the two kaleidoscopic chakra eyes of Uchiha Shisui, and her heart was completely desperate. In front of the instantaneous water, no one can hide, let alone someone to save her. Even if someone comes here occasionally, Uchiha's magic to stop the water can hypnotize everything. Yuyan gritted her teeth and looked at Naruto and asked, "Naruto Uzumaki, if you have the ability, you will kill me. If you don't kill me, I will definitely tell the 3 generations of Hokage about the matter here." As a dark minister, even if she has some affection for Naruto, she still chooses the village when faced with the crucial task. Naruto didn't care when he saw this. After all, the dark part was this virtue, he had known it for a long time. Naruto slowly squatted down and said with a smile, "Yuyan, what do you say I don't kill you and keep you for?" Shiyan was stunned for a moment, and then covered in cold sweat, looked at Naruto in horror and said, "If you do something to me that is inferior to the beast, I won't let you go." Naruto smiled dumbly, "When I fought with the old thief of Danzo that day, didn't you see that in front of me? Do you still have a chance to be a ghost?" Shiyan's face suddenly turned white, and she opened her mouth to say something, but she didn't say it for a long time. Seeing this, Naruto touched Yuyan's face and said with a smile, "As long as you don't tell what happened here today, I won't do anything to you." Yuyan gritted her teeth and didn't speak, but she made up her mind that as long as Naruto released her, she would immediately report to the 3rd generation of Hokage. Naruto was also not surprised, looked at Uchiha and smiled, "Stop the water. How many people are there in the Uzumaki family?" Uchiha said respectfully, "Naruto-sama, as far as I know, there are 13 people in the Uzumaki family, including Uzuki's parents, relatives, and a younger sister." Yuyan's eyes widened and he shouted, "Naruto Uzumaki, what are you going to do? Don't you think that's too mean? Choosing to strike at the family is so despicable." The corners of Naruto's mouth hooked. Justice will only be on the side of the winner. As long as it is victorious, any despicable thing will be allowed. Naruto waved his hand at Uchiha to stop the water, and Uchiha no Mizu retracted the chain. After Naruto lifted his restraints, Naruto walked indifferently towards the outside of the jungle and said, "As long as you don't say anything and surrender to me at ease, your family will be fine." Uzumaki Shiyan pulled out his long sword several times, but he was extremely entangled and watched Naruto leave. After walking out of the jungle, Naruto looked at Ujijuji and said, "Stop the water, you hypnotized Shiyan just now, right?" Uchiha was stunned for a moment, apologetically, and said on one knee, "I'm sorry, Naruto-sama. I'm really worried because that woman disrupted our plans." Naruto nodded and said, "Even if you don't hypnotize her, I will order you." Naruto didn't believe that his words would convince Yuki Yuyan, who was brainwashed by the will of fire, or hypnosis was more effective. Uchiha breathed a sigh of relief, and then asked respectfully, "Naruto-sama, just now, you suppressed Kakashi, maybe you will be detected by the 3 generations of Hokage. Do you want your subordinates to solve the 3 generations of Hokage first?" Naruto waved his hand and said, "Don't worry, they don't dare to do anything to me." Looking at the puzzled look on Uchiha's face, Naruto explained, "Maybe they are ready to receive the Nine-Tails body now, but they can't bear the risk of transferring the Nine-Tails, especially at this dangerous juncture. As long as I don't kill people, they will only wait until after the Chu Shinobi exam to attack me." Uchiha suddenly realized, if Lord Naruto's current nine-tailed body ran away, there would only be 4 people in the entire village who could resist 1 or 2. With all 4 shadows coming over, Konoha did not dare to make a move against Naruto-sama. Even if he had killing intent, he could only hide and lock it. Then Uchiha thought of something again, and asked respectfully, "Naruto-sama, why didn't you let me use another god on the Great Snake Pill just now? With the assistance of the Big Snake Pill, the plan would be more successful." A smile appeared at the corner of Naruto's mouth and said, "Orochimaru, he doesn't affect my plans." When Naruto was about to say something, he was suddenly stunned, then showed a hint of a smile, looked near Konoha's gate and said, "I didn't expect to come so soon, let's go. Go over and take a look." Uchiha was puzzled, but he followed Naruto anyway. The two walked one after the other to the gate of Konoha village. When Uchiha saw the 4 people near the gate, his pupils shrank, and his face showed a hint of anger, saying, "Uchiha Itachi." The 4 people near the gate are Uchiha Itachi, Oni Fish, Hijuin, and Kakuto. The 4 people brazenly dressed in black fire cloud robes, swaggering down the street, completely without the consciousness of being wanted criminals. Naruto looked at the vigilant sunset red on both sides of the road, as well as Hinata and the others, and said to Uchiha Shuizu, "You go first, you will know the organization later." Uchiha couldn't wait to agree, transformed into its original appearance, and his figure flashed and appeared in front of Uchiha and the others. The corners of Naruto's mouth curled slightly on the tree. Uchiha took that guy, really can't wait. After understanding his ability, don't you dare to just let the Uchiha Itachi ghost fish come over, and simply call the undead duo up? Naruto smiled, separated a shadow doppelganger, and after using the blessing of the return path, walked towards Sunset Red and the others. Uchiha and the others looked at Uchiha, who suddenly appeared in front of them, and immediately became vigilant. Kakuto frowned and looked at Uchiha to stop the water, and said in a solemn voice, "With such speed, which ninja from Konoha is it?" Feiduan laughed twice, took out his blood-red scythe and said, "Jiaodu, no matter who he is, let's go together, everyone will die." Kakuto nodded slightly. This time they were not fighting 2, but 4. As long as they got a little blood from the enemy in the battle, the enemy would definitely die. The Oni mackerel looked at Uchiha Itachi suspiciously and asked, "Mr. Itachi, what's wrong with you?" Uchiha Weasel completely ignored the words of the ghost mackerel. His figure trembled a little, looked at the emaciated man in front of him in shock, raised his finger, and said in disbelief, "Uchiha, stop the water." Feilu remind you, 3 things to read, collect, push. Episode 90. Uchiha Itachi caught in the storm of fear. Feiduan became interested when he heard this, and asked with interest, "Nah, Kakuto, this is Konoha's instantaneous body, does Uchiha stop the water?" The daimyo of Uchiha Shisui, even he knows something. Kakuto nodded solemnly and said, "Don't be careless, Uchiha is called the strongest illusion ninja, don't look into his eyes. It's useless." Uchiha shook his head and said in a complicated way, "With the help of body movements, you can cast illusions." Feiduan's eyes widened and said, Hey, isn't that invincible?" Uchiha Weasel ignored Feiduan's words, looked at Uchiha in a complicated way and said, "I searched for your body at the beginning, but I didn't find it. Who saved you?" Uchiha's 2 kaleidoscopic chakra eyes turned wildly, and said with a hint of hatred, "I was saved by an adult. If it weren't for that adult, I wouldn't have known that you Uchiha Weasel would be so ruthless, and actually left only your brother." When Uchiha Shisui heard the news that Naruto said that the Uchiha family was extinct, and even the baby did not survive, his heart was broken. He didn't expect Uchiha and Konoha to be so ruthless, babies don't know anything. He didn't even want to brainwash, and directly destroyed Uchiha's entire clan. His relatives, his friends, all died in that battle. That lord. Uchiha Itachi took a deep breath and looked at Naruto, remembering that before this, he had told him to be careful of the Nine-Tails Pillar Force. Uchiha muttered, "A few years ago, Naruto Uzumaki was probably not yet 10 years old. Was he ready at that time?" After muttering to himself, Uchiha looked solemnly at Uchiha and said, "You are still alive. What do you want to do?" Uchiha sneered and said, "There are only 2 things I want to do. The first thing is to help that adult with all my strength, and the second thing is to revive you Shuei for this, even if I die." Revival Uchiha. Uchiha repeated, "That's right." Uchiha's kaleidoscope chakra eye turned wildly, and chakra poured into it, and said coldly, "I'm going to kill your personality first, so that you can add heirs to Uchiha." As he spoke, Uchiha's kaleidoscopic chakra eyes turned to an extreme, and he roared in his mouth, "Don't be heavenly. Stop." Before Uchiha's voice fell, Naruto, who had changed into purple hair, appeared beside him, and stopped faintly in his mouth. "My lord, why don't you let me move?" Uchiha stopped the movement of riding the wheel eye and asked respectfully. Naruto calmly pointed at Uchiha Itachi, "Look at people. Reading other people's thoughts and using them in battle, this is Uchiha Itachi, and you look at him, has there ever been a trace of fear in his eyes?" Uchiha's face sank, and then looked at Naruto, in shock. He had never seen Uzumaki. Why did he know him so well? Uchiha's pupils shrank and said in disbelief, "Sir, you mean, don't be a god." It wasn't the other god he cast, but the kaleidoscope chakra eye he gave to Uchiha. His 2 kaleidoscopic chakra eyes have the same abilities, and they can both directly invade each other's brains and modify each other's will without being discovered by the other party. And Uchiha Itachi is so fearless, even daring to look him directly in the eye. It is very likely that he used another god on himself. Uchiha sighed, and a pitch-black crow emerged from the kaleidoscope Sharingan eye and landed on his shoulder. Uchiha Shisui's eyes widened, and then he said to Naruto gratefully, "Thank you, my lord, I just gaffed." When he saw Uchiha, his heart was already filled with anger, otherwise he would never have made such a low-level mistake. You must know that once the other Tenjin is ineffective, he wants to help Naruto solve these enemies, which is quite troublesome. Naruto nodded indifferently. Uchiha Itachi took a deep breath, looked at Naruto, and said, "It is worthy of the Nine-Tails Pillar Force, at such a young age, he has this kind of strength and scheming." Naruto reached out to stop the anxious Uchiha and laughed, "That's not as good as you who have lived in lies all your life." Uchiha Itachi's pupils shrank and looked at Naruto, in shock. "Are you kidding? Living in lies all your life?" Uchiha's eyes widened and he shouted, "Naruto Uzumaki, why do you know this?" He was a spy and only kept in touch with 3 generations of Hokage, and no one else knew his identity, and Naruto, over and over again, told his secrets. It was as if he, the spy, was transparent in front of Naruto. At this moment, Naruto seemed to Uchiha Itachi to be a black hole full of fog, enough to sweep anyone in. Naruto smiled and looked at Asuma, Sunset Red, Metke, and others who ran over. You're too noisy, let's talk in a quieter place. Uchiha Itachi couldn't help but clench his teeth. Didn't he want those ninjas to know the true identity of Naruto Uzumaki? What exactly are the plans? Then, Naruto separated 4 shadow doppelgangers under the vigilant gaze of Uchiha Itachi. Oni-Rei, Hibito, and Kakuto reached out and aimed at the ground and chanted, 8 inches of the army, there is no reason to retreat, the blue bolt, the white latch, the black latch, the red latch. After biting each other, they submerged into the sea, the gate of the dragon's tail, the gate of the tiger's bite, the gate of the turtle armor, and the gate of the phoenix wing. 82 of the bound path, 4 beasts plugged the gate. In an instant, the green dragon, white tiger, vermilion, and Xuanwu formed a huge enchantment composed of 4 colors, and those inside could see the outside, while the people outside could not see the inside. Fei Duan's eyes widened and said, hey, this is too strong, Jiaodu. Is this level of enchantment something that a person can use? Jiaodu's eyes shook his head with shock. Such a huge enchantment. If you count the defensive power, it is impossible for me to use it alone. The ghost mackerel suppressed a mouthful of spit, pulled out the mackerel muscle from behind, and said, even your 5-hearted chakra is not enough. Is this kid a monster? Naruto smiled faintly, and then looked at the 9 tails in his body and said, 9 tails, I'm afraid this battle will use some of your strength. Don't be scrupulous, give me how much you have. Lying in the cage, the 9 tails snorted and said, all my chakra, thanks to you for having the courage to say it. Boom. On Naruto's body, an extremely violent blood-red chakra instantly spread, and the blood-red chakra seemed to have an entity, forming 7 blood-red tails that were constantly wagging. The ghost mackerel's eyes widened and roared in disbelief. Could it be the perfect human pillar force? To see the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Feilu Jr.